All right, Jon Jones is back, and Jon Jones is making statements, and Jon Jones is taking shots, particularly at Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, if you're keeping up to date with the story about Jon Jones, we know that Dana White said recently on the Jim Rome show that Jon Jones is good to go. It's just a case of figuring out who the opponent is going to be. So either going to be Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou. Okay, we know the contractual negotiations, they're clearly taken care of. I.e. that's Dana saying he's good to go. So that's amazing news. First of all, that's great news. Jon Jones is one of, well, he's up there, isn't he? He's one of the best. And I know the picogram talk. I know you're all going to say, hey, he's a cheat. He's a dirty, rotten cheat. And he is. He's been suspended multiple times. He's been many different USADA violations, okay? But he's also now one of the most tested. But still, you can't deny his record, 26-1. Essentially, he's undefeated, okay? We know that. I'm not going to spend some time going through all that, telling you about the people that he's beaten, the multiple generations of talent that he's been through, the legends that he's disposed of, because I don't need to tell you that because I just did it. See what I did there? No, Jones is coming back, and it's great. The sport of mixed martial arts is better with him in it, and for him, it's better. You know, you can't waste too much time on the sidelines. He's already been out for over 2 years. We want to see Jon Jones back in the Octagon, and we want to see, does he have it at heavyweight? Can the body still perform? Can he still go out and be as dominant in a new weight class with the big boys, the proper big boys? So, of course, the competition comes down to Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou. Now, we know in the first match, Stipe beat Ngannou, but then the last time they fought, Francis got the knockout. Francis is the champ. Francis is absolutely goddamn terrifying. And Francis right now is recovering from ACL surgery. Remember, he went into the Ciryl Gane fight with the injury, so that was very impressive of Francis to go out there and do that. Wrestled him, remained the champ, but then got the surgery. So the point of this video is to mention the tweet of Jon Jones on whilst UFC 276 was taking place. He said, and I quote, "At this point, I'm looking to fight Stipe. I think it proves a lot more. Fighting a fairly one-dimensional fighter, fresh off of knee surgery, I don't know. I believe beating Stipe says more at this point." Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that, you know. But on the flip side, I'm not talking shit either. Stipe Miocic is probably the greatest heavyweight that we've ever had. Okay. Now, of course, Francis could go on to beat that. He could go on to become the legend. He could go on to be a guy that, you know, dominates, much like an Anderson Silva or a Kamaru or a George St. Pierre or somebody. But he hasn't done that yet. I think with a couple more wins, Ngannou becomes the greatest of all time. So, well, in terms of heavyweights. So I'm not saying that Jon Jones is looking for easy fights. Stipe Miocic is not an easy fight. He has knockout power. He has sensational wrestling. And to the point of Jones, he has more ways to win. He is more diverse. He has mastered more of the arts in the mixed martial skill set. Do you know what I mean? When it comes to mixed martial arts, technically, Stipe Miocic is better. But Francis Ngannou has the equalizer. Francis Ngannou has the biggest power. Francis Ngannou is getting better all the time. We saw last time he wrestled Ciryl Gane. But still, he's a scary, scary man. And he knocked out Stipe last time they fought. So I understand Jon Jones is saying, well, he's a fairly one-dimensional fighter and he's coming off knee surgery. So you know what? He's one-dimensional. I'm going to go after Stipe. Okay? Now, a couple of things going on here. Maybe because he knows Francis isn't going to be back anytime soon, right? He's had ACL surgery. He's going to be out for a while. If that's the case, what he's doing is hyping up Stipe Miocic, okay? He's hyping him up, saying this is a tougher fight, okay? Because anytime you go into a fight, when you're a guy like Jon Jones on a fresh new contract, he'll be getting a nice cut of the pay-per-view. So you want to hype it up. You want to make it seem like the toughest matchup available. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to say, oh, I wanted to fight Ngannou, but he wasn't available, so I'm fighting this guy. No, you make it sound like that's the top guy. You make it sound like that's the tougher challenge. You make it sound like you want to go out there and have the toughest fight possible. And that's what he's doing here. Now, the other side, people will say that he's terrified of Francis Ngannou, right? Because the critic or the critic would say, well, what are you talking about? How can Stipe Miocic ever have more to offer than Francis Ngannou, because Francis Ngannou is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and that's true. And one-dimensional, maybe, but so what? That one dimension will knock you into another dimension. It will. It's scary. It's ridiculous. And one shot is all it takes. Francis Ngannou doesn't even need to land flush. I think one of the only times he landed flush was when he nearly decapitated Alistair Overeem. Most of the other shots where he's connected with people, they've been glancing blows, but still strong enough to put them down. Okay? But the reality is, yeah, I don't think he's fighting anytime soon. Jon Jones has been out for over 2 years. He needs to come back to the Octagon. He's got to make the most of his career. Listen, of course, he's made a tremendous amount of money. He's not hurting, but still, all that time on the sidelines, you know, idle hands are the devil's tools. And we know Jon doesn't need any help getting into a spot of bother, getting into a little bit of trouble, getting arrested. I mean, last time we saw him at the Hall of Fame, he said he was 265 pounds. Sadly, after that, he got himself in quite a lot of trouble, and that one was, it was no laughing matter. It was no laughing matter. But let's talk about Jon Jones at heavyweight real quick. You know, 265 pounds is what he said he was. Will he still be the same Jon Jones? Jon Jones was very versatile, he's very dynamic, he was very quick, he had a fast double leg, he had good reflexes, obviously used his reach and range, a master of range. You know, extended that long reach with the fingers sometimes. Watch your eyeballs, whoever it is. Just kidding, Jon. No, he's got incredible skills, Not necessarily a knockout puncher, but the fight IQ was ridiculous. Conditioning through the roof. Even in fights that famously he didn't train for. Apparently that fight with Alexander Gustafsson, which was an insane war, apparently he hardly trained for that fight because he kind of took Gustafsson a little bit lightly. And I've heard that on good authority. If that's the case, it just shows how amazing Jon Jones is. But will he still have that at 265? Well, he'll still have the fight IQ. He'll have the experience. He'll have extra strength. He'll have all these things. But will it compromise two things? And those two things being gas tank, cardio, conditioning, all the same thing, and speed. Okay, speed's important, and I believe that's a big part of Jon's game. And the longer the fight goes on, when you've got all that extra muscle on you, when you're like an extra, 30, 40 pounds heavier, you're going to feel that. I've been lifting a lot of weights lately. I've got a little bit more musclier. When I hit the bag, I fade way quicker because you require a lot more oxygen in your muscles, in your body to be able to go. So will it slow him down? Will it slow him down? I believe it has to. There's no way you can put on 30, 40 pounds of muscle and it not slow you down. Now, granted, muscle, fast twitch fiber muscle will result in more power, which power converts to speed. But still, I just think it will way too much. 265 Jon Jones, he's going to slow down a little bit. Maybe only a tiny bit. Maybe only a picogram.
Oh my God.
Right? But will it make him tire quicker? I think it has to. I think it has to. Now, of course, he's got fantastic coaches. He's got money to be able to afford the best strength and conditioning coaches, the best conditioning coaches. So I'm sure they have left no stone unturned. I'm sure they're doing everything they can to make sure that he can go 5 rounds without a problem. And that, what we've seen out of Jon Jones so far, is that he can go 5 rounds without a problem. I'm just going to say, regardless, whether it's Stipe or Francis Ngannou, it's going to be great to have Jon Bones Jones back in the Octagon at heavyweight. It's going to be quite the sight to see, and I can't wait for it.